soft covers, serialized fantastique, and, oh yes, under the bed, there is a rather extensive collection of critical theory, that is, dour, life non-affirming left-wing literature, published by small imprints such as Abattoir Firm and UltraGear. It's not exactly like reading.
UltraGear. Humanitarian sciences. Stands out. Not a lot of critical theory around in Ravachol West anymore.
Your incendiary remark has failed to provoke him. Wasn't there some in the communist students' room?
Well, yes. That one student did.
The little books seem inconsequential next to the big pile of frivolous entertainment covering them.
Again, I am not a philosopher, but whoever has lived here, they have some education and a certain set of interests.
Interesting. Green paint flecks off the monoblock aluminium cabinet. There are rows of switches on the front panel, a frequency band, and even a keyboard.
The console of an antique computation device. The generator upstairs, with wires coming out, they terminate here. Urgence, ouvert, allumé, radiodiffusé. Sounds like this device was used to control the electronics here. Maybe it still does.
This device was used to control the electronics in the room. It could open doors, control lights, function as a radio computer. The dial slides under the glass. Silently, you make out defunct stations on the UKV frequency. The words, Feld Insula, are written on the band.
Insular. This is an off-air radio computer, I believe, used for military communications.
It's an air-gapped system, an off-air military model. Its circuits are nearly impossible to bend, i.e., it cannot be remote-controlled. Nothing happens. The console is powered up.
We need to restore power before using this, officer. The generator, it didn't look like there was fuel in it. We should look around outside. There are barrels all over. Maybe one of them still has something in it.
The boat engine.
My kinema. I don't want to do that. Let's just look around.
The console stands by, mutely. You see a small metal door nested inside a larger one, a heavy steel blast door. There is a conventional keyhole above the handle. It's very small.
Another part of the island, probably. The lock looks like it could still be usable. Maybe this is one of the doors we don't open?
He's right. It would be better to open its big brother. A powerful engine hangs under the ceiling. It must control the blast door.
Yeah, on the console just southeast of here. Remember? Let's look around. Getting the blast door open seems like the best plan.
There's a rain-soaked mattress on a concrete slab, only half covered by the crumbling roof. At the head of it, double embrasures, firing slits like two eyes in the wall.
B triple prime. This looks like a good place to shoot from.
A single-person mattress, modern, civilian use. Brand name, Marjorie. There's a fuel stain on the cover, along with cigarette burns. And an empty can of beans on the ground next to it, filled to the brim with cigarette butts. The silhouette of a tobacco picker adorns the paper filter. The brand, Tio Moteri. Contemporary Revacholians prefer Juan, a local blend from the Southern Islands, or Astra, the legendary cigarette from Grad. Tio Moteri is favored by older men for its paper filter tips, sweet smell, and added tar.
I may have been wrong when I said it wasn't important. This means the same person could have visited both locations. I didn't see any signs of smoking inside though. If people live there, they keep it tidy. This here may also be a smoking spot.
There's a firing slit in the wall in front of you, like a little window. Quite old and grimy from years without cleaning by anything other than the rain. The springs screech as you lean on the mattress and crane your neck to look out. Trepidation, a tingling feeling in your stomach. A small piece of Martinez coastline opens up in the square in front of you, like a tiny landscape painting. 1 kilometer across the water, the ruins look familiar. A towering skyscraper, its top floors shaved off by artillery fire. Capeside apartments. Rue de Saint-Ghislain, 33A and 33B. The red chimney and collapsed back of the 4-story tenement in front of the whirling in rags. Rue de Saint-Ghislain, 10. The doomed commercial area. The box-shaped silhouette of the whirling in rags. You see a small fleck of white on the rooftop, the upstairs window of Clausia's room, in the snow, reflecting light.
What does that mean? Do you have line of sight to the window?
More than that.
A pair of binoculars? Or a scope of a rifle? You'd be prone, lying on a mattress, barrel resting on the embrasure.
Cheek against the cheek rest, hand on the hair trigger, on a calm day like this.
Good. I think we have it, detective. The origin of the shot. This is the sniper's nest.
Affirmative.
In our defense, nothing pointed here. Many leads pointed elsewhere. Don't beat yourself up, officer. We did not put guns in their hands or get them drunk.
The lieutenant pauses. Regret comes over him.
We will make up for it. Here. I feel it. Where?
He does not answer, just nods. With his back hunched, he looks around once more and says, he feels uncomfortable suddenly.
We should move now.
This old cylindrical generator waits with its fuel cap. The lieutenant assists you, holding the canister up to the fuel tank as you tilt. Dark brown, viscous fluid pours out, and the room fills with a chemical smell. There's a red starter switch on the side of the cylinder and a start rope on the other side. The lieutenant flicks the switch. The recoil start wakes the old generator up. The machine sputters like an old warhorse before settling down to a rattle.
That should do it.
A dim golden glow animates the console. Faint, like a ghost light. Urgence ouvert reads one dial key. Allumer reads another.
It's on. Turn emergency open.
Automatic boot. The blast door opens with a series of clicks. A shaft of light appears, then widens as the light shines in. A sudden wave of anxiety makes your skin crawl.
After you. So did I. Not back there, but I felt it since we came here. I don't know. An old man wearing tracksuit trousers leans on the frame stock of his rifle. He gathers a big ball of spit in his mouth, then spits it out into the extinguished fire before him. He raises his black eyes, hooded by creased eyelids, to meet yours. Unclouded by cataracts, his eyesight is sharp. He's practically tearing up from spite. Hatred got the best of him a long time ago. This man hates everything.
It's not nice. It's a piece of shit. But it gets the job done. It's a Triangon 446.
Southeast Samaran made, exotic, must be defunct too. No modern rifle manufacturer of that name springs to mind.
A Samaran rifle. How did you get hold of one?
It was sent to us by our brothers in the Signal commune. Military aid.
It has stayed true to him. He can still make it sing.
I did. And you opened it. How? Reactionary rock and roll music. Playing on the water.
Told you we shouldn't play sad FM.
The fascists were right about rock and roll. It is degenerate. Hip gyrating, mental illness music. My eyesight? Yes, helps me see all the shit.
A shudder of disgust passes his left side. His right side remains motionless.
You heard me. It's good now, like chalk, wiped from the board. Yes, I bet you've killed a lot of people with it. You fascist fuck. Have you come to make me one of them?
We have come to ask you questions, nothing more. If you do not comply, we will take you in. Do you understand?
Another spitball lands in the ashes. That's all the answer he gives. The danger levels here are hard to read. One moment he's a fire, the next, a fire gone out.
The what now? I can't hear you. I may have. All sorts of little rats have come sniffing around, trying to give up the position. Fire guy. Regressive bourgeoisie henchman. Can't even talk like a grown-up.
The lieutenant pulls his pistol from the holster.
You are a glorified night watchman. This is a service rifle. I can only lay it down before an enemy commander of corresponding rank.
His elbows rest on the frame stock, calmly for now, but he may still get it in his hands. Looks like he knows the weapon. The words, "I am an enemy commander," sound cold as iron from your lungs. The old man still hugs his gun.
And what rank would that be, dog? A big wheel of the 4th Regiment of the Pederast Army. To hell with it. It's a walking stick anyway. It's out of bullets.
He stares on, his wrinkled mouth moving without a sound. A strange sadness, like a song.
The future teaches you to be alone.
The present.
The present to be afraid and cold. Real music. Real projet cult. That's la Revacholière, not your rock and roll misanthropy. Chanson de soldat of the black and whites.
You need to address that remark.
The job of a shitlicker. It is the anthem of the world revolution. One of 3. In Grad, they sang Brave Children, favorites of history. And in Sinyao, it was some Samaran shit, I guess. How did it go? Something about shooting rabbits. I don't know. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. It's gone now.
He waves erratically with his hand, annoyed that he can't remember. A little tremor passes through him. It was dear to him. He resents forgetting it. His gaze follows your motions. The rifle feels surprisingly light in your hand. Frame stocked and patched in places with tape and wire. Still warm from his parched hands. Not the metal. The metal is ice cold. This weapon has been modified several times. The rifle's in a shabby state, like a crutch that's seen too much travel. Hieroglyphs are embossed into the forearm, made of walnut. On the butt, you see Vespertine writing, burned into the wood. Triangong, 4.46mm, made in Sinyao.
No one said it has to be a banana grave. We were just guessing.
From ballistics, it could easily have been a triangle, too.
It doesn't matter if it was made in Shanty Shanty. All it has to do is use jacketed ammunition. And it does. The right type and the right calibre.
He's liking this.
I wonder how old it is.
The old man does not answer. He just stares in front of him. The old man keeps following your motion with his gaze. His right arm twitches suddenly. Some kind of involuntary response. Something is slightly off with his motorics. This looked very much like the murder weapon. It could be used against him to get a confession in time.
My name is Joseph Lilianovich Dross, Political Commissar of the 114th Anti-Aircraft Division of the 4th Army of the Commune of Revachol. I am a deserter, a partisan, and a prisoner of war. This is my termless surrender.
The Commune of Revachol? Do you mean the ICM? Your holdover from the...
From the Insular Indian Citizens Militia, the army of the revolution. I was recruited in Jamrock in '07, trained in the École de Contrôle Orient, and consigned to emergency defense duties in '08. I left my unit on the eve of the landing. When I returned here on May 14th, the Commune had fallen. Still armed and ideologically trained, I wrote a criticism of myself and resumed partisan duties.
51 minus 8 equals 43.
No. I've been on other islands, too. I was an resurrection until they turned it into a spa in 18. Then I was an E-48, a nameless sound, until the sea washed over it. Then I came back here. That was 22 years ago. I was just 16 years old, 15 when I volunteered. I had a lapse of faith. And of courage, too. You could say I misunderstood the historic role of the proletariat and thought Mazovian socioeconomics were fallible. For a second, I doubted the irreducible laws of historic materialism. A second is all it took for reaction to take hold. It's the same thing. You haven't seen it. Not really. Not naked. It's impossible not to be afraid.
It remains unclear what it is. He makes leaps he doesn't expect you to follow.
And this was... when?
May the 13th, '08. 44 years ago. The horizon was black with coalition airships. Their petroleum rose to the sky, and it looked like it formed the clouds, storm clouds. When they started shelling, it was dark magic. The combined might of international capital, all at once. All the greed and terror in the world tore into Revachol. It lifted streets from the ground and turned houses into ghosts. We were in the flak tower, huddled on the floor. The artillery was 80 kilometers away in Ozon, but I knew the commune would fall. We would all be turned into ash. So I said I was going to the map room.
A terrible shame, still within him. The lobes of his ears are red with it. the shame and smallness of what he became.
No. I climbed the chain link across the water and hid inland, in the bunkers there, like the weakest of the weak. A mouse, frightened at the ordnance all night, and the sound of the rotors in the morning, whirring.
Airships, multi-rotored airships used in the landing.
Aerostatics. The landing had started. I climbed out into hell. There were ships all above, hissing, whirling, and men pouring out. The chain was submerged, so I had to swim back. The fortress was half submerged too, shattered. They'd all drowned in the lower levels, or got torn to shreds above. The anti-aircraft gun had malfunctioned. So had I. I left them without ideological direction. It was real. I'd seen it. I'd seen it in reality. The mask of humanity fall from capital. It has to take it off to kill everyone, everything you love, all the hope and tenderness in the world. It has to take it off just for 1 second to do the deed. And then you see it, as it strangles and beats your friends to death. The sweetest, most courageous people in the world. You see the fear and power in its eyes. Then you know that the bourgeois are not human. I had to fight it. I had to never stop. It's not an island, Dwat. It's a defensive fortification of the commune of Revachol. And I am its last surviving defender. The congenitally deformed King Philip II built it to restrict access to the Bay of Revachol. We captured it in '02, retrofitted the fort with an AA gun to defend against an airborne landing, against the whole world. Coalition military called it Operation Deathblow. I later found out on the radio they called it Deathblow. You're one of them. Tell me, who speaks like that? We had 50 million people on Caillou alone. Sure you are. You're RCM. Answer me. Who calls an operation against 50 million people Deathblow? You don't know. You haven't seen it. Iblis. The black-eyed angel. How does anyone survive? I steal supplies, vegetables. I collect rainwater. It's the life of a dog, not a human being.
How is your health, Mr. Dross?
I've been throwing up blood since winter. Red, like beetroot. Been passing it in stool, too.
He does seem frail, gaunt for his age, more like 75 than 65. Trouble putting on weight could mean cancer.
The RCM can provide medical services. You need to be looked over.
I need to die. You don't have medical facilities. You have guns. That's all they give you. Toy guns. I have been running out of that stuff. There's nothing to look over. The triage is in, and it's black. Administer morphine. Moribund. I haven't. I have holes in my brain. Years missing. Others filled with pain only. A decade of... I don't even know what. Inferno?
I would imagine it gets tremendously difficult, mentally, to live in isolation.
Traitors. It's better alone. I watch the people of this city turn the lights back on, more and more each year. Ruins, glimmering in the dark, like a fucking merry-go-round. It's disgusting.
Are they not heartbroken? How could they have moved on?
It was hard in the tens. I didn't have partisan training. They were searching for stragglers, those bloodhounds. Floodlights on the water at night.
There were posters, campaigns.
We communards still hoped, and they needed to snuff that hope out. The East capitulated. Martinez and Cold City were turned to dust. But Jamrock, Forburg, even Coron, and Boogie Street, of course. Those fucking kips had Marsov coursing through their veins. And others too. Some cordons of Revachol was still fighting. There were cells. I tried to contact them. Soon they all went silent. The frequencies dead. At night, I used a dinghy. I only went after dark then. When I got to the city, I stayed underground. Patrols, you lot, the commons too. They'd started snitching.
In the city, you move underground?
From bunker to bunker. Not anymore. No one cares now. I don't even have to hide. They think I'm another antisocial vagrant. I could walk straight into that town if I wanted. I don't want to. They're all traitors. Pigs, rabbits, and dogs. Men without ideals are only animals.
He does not want to see life moving on. People forgetting, drinking, laughing.
So you finally found it. There must have been a small squadron's worth of arms in there. Elmer Graves, right? Useless now. Rusted away.
So you've been there?
Sleeping. Some nights. Ammo scrounging on others. Those McGraves were shit, even before they corroded. Some had bullets in the chamber, however.
You feel the dots connecting. Little dots on the map he's walked across.
The propaganda bunker. I used to, but not anymore.
Propaganda bunker?
They stored leaflets there. Broadcasting equipment, too. Made broadcasts, I think. Propaganda officers. I buried them with their leaflets. They killed themselves. 2 young boys. A lot of our boys did. I spent some winters there. Never liked it. Kept thinking of them. No need to go underground anymore. It's better in the ruins, on the ground. I do. They're good. Plenty of talk. I like that boy on the pack, too. Reminds me of the last century.
The old man looks across the water, at the city, the ruins, the motorways rising above it.
43 years and 10 months. It's too long. It's not how a human being should live. But I couldn't just forget what I saw.
What have you been doing during all this time?
Hiding, fishing, waiting.
Two police officers step out of the Whirling in Rags cafeteria. Satellite officer Jean-Vic Mayer inspects giant letters across the plaza mosaic in dark red government-marked heavy fuel oil. Patrol officer Judith Minot points west, the fishing village. She glances at her watch. We meet in 15 minutes. It's a 10-minute walk. The officers go, leaving behind the writing, still smelling of petroleum. One day, it says, I will return to your side.
Always waiting. For her to return.
Her who?
Girl, child, revolution. I am not a fool. I know the material base for an uprising has eroded. The working class has betrayed mankind. The historic opportunity for a revolution has passed. It will not come back anymore, however hard I try, whatever I do.
What has he done? Perhaps a confession will lighten the load.
Yes, what? To get things going again? Fan the flame?
There is no flame to fan. There is nothing left of the world, of our dreams. You're with the RCM, the coalition-appointed mob that enforces bourgeois morals in Revachol, a so-called Lieutenant W. Freighter. You're the RCM. You represent the Moralist International, the enemies of humanity who took this city. I represent their adversary, le Parti Communiste d'Insolande. Take me to them as a prisoner of war. I have relinquished my weapon. I can no longer serve. No superiors can relieve me of my duty. You bulldoze them all to a mass grave for trying to free humanity.
A spray of blood from his mouth on the black charcoal in the fire pit. Rene, the royalist on the coast, said,
Liberal reactionaries signed that instrument. Traitors who should have been burned alive. I answer to the Communist Party.
Is that part of why you've been here all this time? Because the party didn't surrender?
He just wipes the blood from his chin.
You're insane. Radio shows, speed racing, sporting goods. None of it is real. No, I am not a soldier. I am an ideological officer. I belong to the party, not the army. Trained in historical materialism, then assigned as a political commissar by the party. These things used to mean something.
The old man does not answer. He tilts his silver head and looks at the reeds. You see a small tremor pass through his legs.
His job was to assure the army answers to civilian control and follows the ideology of the Commune.
Scientific communism. A commissaire politique is a night philosopher of the revolution, a future human.
Awakened from shutdown by the promise of ideology. He nods slowly, then another tremor.
You're inert lumpen with a gun.
Detective, We have not come here to discuss ideology. We have come to ask questions regarding a murder investigation.
The old man spits into the fire pit. He does not say anything more. A jitter passes his lower body.
There's nothing serious in this world. It's a farce. I've used it for killing people.
Here we go. A trail of blood. The lieutenant smells it too.
Killing people?
It's a gun. That's what they're for. You want a moralist euphemism? Defending your family and your property. I haven't done that. I've used it to kill people.
Interesting. During or after the war?
There is no after the war. Class war is never over.
So he's continued killing after hostilities ended. Okay. This is it. You can feel it, like battery acid on the tip of your tongue. Something you haven't felt in a while. But this is what you live for. This is the shit. The great serotonin jackpot. The solution. Go in straight. No euphemisms. He doesn't like those. No. Be careful now. Slow and steady does it. Make him repeat it first. Don't mess this up. Remember, he wants to tell you. Get personal.
The who now?
He heard you. He just wants to hear you say it again. This is dramatic flair on his part. Right choice. We're in. Do it, sire.
The worm there. In the monster armor. An ugly piece of work, that boy.
Did you kill him?
I am a son of a welder and an officer of the commune of Revachol. I do not collaborate with murderers and pederasts of the liberal regime.
A drop of blood in the saliva. Exhaust him with proof. Pile it all on him. Get a confession. The gun. The murder weapon is the perfect opener. The scent of blood in the air. But what else? There was something you can't remember. Something about the tracks. Suddenly, all those tracks are so confusing. Go with something else first.
I saw you poking around there, looking for evidence. You're damn diligent when it comes to dead fascies. Did you like the view?
You had direct visibility. There are embrasures in the concrete, specifically meant for a top follower to use. And you had a long-range rifle in your possession. You've been here a long time, Mr. Dras. Too long. You clearly need medical aid.
I'm ready to die. I've done my part.
He's practically admitting to it. Dead fascists for fascists. Done his part.
Because it's a sniper's nest, you stupid fuck. Radio Gosh is right. You have worms in your brain.
Almost. He almost burst out there. Keep piling arguments. Anything.
Not a lot of guns around that use military-grade ammunition, are there?
It's a real gun. Not like your little musketeer pistol. I've seen you prance around with that, jumping hoops for the liberals. You look like imbeciles. Why don't you ask them to give you real weapons, eh? Going against automatic rifles with a flame bomb. Of course you got all those boys killed.
Damn, he saw you. He's watched it happen. So he saw you. Okay. So what? Don't let it divert you.
You know what? You're right. I'm convinced this made the shot. Should we call it? .46 jacketed ammunition, modified for range. We have it. This is it. Good. This feels good, doesn't it? Tearing things up like this. When you have the murder weapon, you have the killer.
Murder.
This pushed him, but not enough. Just a little more. Wait, here it comes. The goddamn Maybells. The dried Maybells on Clausia's roof. There were Maybells in the grass when you got here. They're revolutionary symbols from the war. Nowhere else, nowhere in all of Martinez have you seen them this spring. Wait, don't forget the footprints. The diagonal prints in the dust in the secret space behind Clausia's bedroom. Now they're gonna come up. You got it. Remember? The boot prints were like no modern soul.
Everything is brands with you individualists. Who cares what brand my shoes are? Sansa? Some shit.
Show me the soles, please, Mr. Doras.
Fucking imbecile.
The maker is Sensorique. The model is Corbeil, and the size is 43. These are not the unusual horizontal pattern soles you saw in the dust on the floor of the hidden room. They do, however, seem to be about the same size.
The size fits, but not the sole.
Sire, he doesn't have to be wearing them right now.
Racking those brains, are you? Desperate to report something back to your masters? They must have really loved that dead fuck.
The lieutenant gives you a quick sideways glance and nods to acknowledge. The prints were his. You can see it in those eyes. He can't keep them from flickering, looking for something. The old man stares at his own prints in the ash around the fire. Silent suddenly, some strange process within him. A gush of wind. Seagulls in the distance. You've almost got him. Just a last little push.
Damn Maybells. The whole island is turning white with them.
He seems tender suddenly. Nostalgic even. A strange mood swing.
So many this year, too. The spring is coming. No, it's already here. Wash the filth away. They blossom on the islets before we fertilize them with our blood. Resurrection was snow white in May before they ruined it. The coast, too, before they piled their containers on top of it. Filled with broken, useless trash for fat-fingered bourgeois children to play with.
You must get around a lot to stay undetected all these years. Do you know any secret paths? Pinball workshops?
I may. Clausier.
He knows her, but hadn't heard the name.
My ears don't reach the city. With the victim.
There is a small tremble, looks like a smile, a crooked smile, yet isn't quite voluntary. He's about to burst.
You know who he was. A coalition-trained murderer, armored and armed. He wasn't human. The blunt end of a hammer, dripping with blood. Beating us to the ground, moaning with joy. You hounds get so thorough when a company-trained killer dies. I haven't seen you on this coast for 40 years. You know, maybe I should have killed one sooner. Got your attention. Now you stop beating druggies and prostitutes in your basement. Now you come to investigate. Not when they die by the hundreds.
This is it. Shot him. Shot him. Say shot him, not killed him.
Oh, the inhumanity. One paramilitary less in Revachol.
The lieutenant raises his right arm to hush you. Hush. He does not need to be pushed anymore. The ball is rolling. While the lieutenant listens, holding his breath.
I had them in my sights. Both of them. Him and the whore. I was breathing with them, in phase. And I pulled the trigger and flew on the air until I landed in his mouth. I didn't think I had a shot like that in me anymore. I did. I saw him kneel there with his mouth full of death, and that stupid look on his face. And his dick still in her. Nothing. I went to sleep. Next morning there were Maybells everywhere. The world was white, or what's left of it anyway. My last spring here. I knew the fascists would come to avenge their own. And so they did.
Mr. Dross, are you aware you're confessing to murder?
Yes.
And you were looking at Dan, the victim and a young woman, having sex through the scope of your rifle that night, before you shot him?
The old man nods.
Why?
Because that's what they were doing.
The motive. This is where the motive is going to come from. You can coax it out of him. The lieutenant's preparing the ground.
I don't understand. Do you, detective? I don't understand this part.
I'm always looking.
Are you always looking through the scope of a rifle? I'm just trying to understand.
A rifle scope has the best magnification.
Helps him see all the shit.
And if you don't like it?
Click.
Then you pull the trigger?
Yes. Think of it as a form of critique.
He will not stop now. These dialectical materialist types never do. Exploit it. You got him going. Connect every little piece now. Wrap this up like a gift. Start with when he first saw him. It will give him a chance to ramble.
"3 weeks ago, when the rich hag came in on her galley. Her honor guard came in tow.
Joyce. He means Joyce.
Wrinkled up whore. Lacks sexual morals or a bourgeois ploy. As to pederasty, The party legalized it in '04. My party, not your liberal masters. So don't you sermonize me, you racist shithole. It's still bourgeois when the bourgeois does it, fiddling with their sexual organs.
And anger too, in addition to loneliness.
They moved into a deserted apartment above the roundabout. Radio equipment out for all to see. Reactionary radio playing, sloppy and drunk. I've seen their kind during the landing. Those Occidental and Mest phalangs weren't conscripts. Boys like us. They were whites. All they know is to destroy and hurt. Barely alive. They like to kill while they're on their drugs. After the landing, in the burning years, I would take shots at them. End them. The worst ones, if I had a bullet to spare. I could see they've returned now to show their real face. The face they don't dare show their bourgeois voters back on Mundi with their families and polyester clothes. Them fucking. I didn't like that. Jealousy is a reactionary concept. I didn't like the Reaver enjoying himself, drugged out, soothed in the arms of a young woman. I wanted him to die so he could not enjoy life anymore. And I wanted to see his head explode. That too. She should know better than to hold a child murderer between her thighs. I knew he'd be there for one more second, writhing. That's all it takes for the bullet to reach his head. Now that I think of it, I wasn't aiming for his mouth. I wanted his brains to spill out on her. But you can't have everything.
He wants to see her covered in blood. To punish her.
She practically breastfed that man. You wouldn't believe the things she let him do to her.
You stare at them too. In your mind, her innocence day still turns to leaf. Airport bag in hand, silks flowing in her wake. It's no good, Harry. Her voice rings in the evening air. It smells of burning buildings. The old man raises his gaze. Something glimmers in the corner of his black eye. A bitter taste on his tongue.
Since she came to Martinez, I saw her sneaking in the reeds early in the morning, behind the Fell building. It was dark, still winter. She didn't have a skimpy outfit on then, just a spot in the night, moving.
Past the Fell building on the coast? What was she doing there?
Hiding something in the water. She had a fag after she'd done it. I was up in the ruins there. She couldn't see me, but I could see her, smoking. She was nervous, but not scared. Her passport and tickets to Villiers, and from there to Cachet Brut.
In the free state of Seminine, hidden away at the edge of the earth, near the Pale.
After she was gone.
Did you keep what was in it? When we found the submersible, it was empty.
No. Why would I do that? I didn't need tickets to Villiers. I'd put them back. If I wanted to extort someone, I'd do better.
This implies that he's thought about extorting her. Also, a little inconsistency here. He was surprised to hear her name Clausia before. Would he not have seen it on the documents?
You didn't say Clausia in there. It was something. I don't remember. It was dark that morning. I only remember her face on the photo. Why would I need that trash? I'm not going to Villiers.
A strange confusion comes over him from time to time. Some kind of aberration of the nervous system.
I did. She had a face like an archipelago, with those birthmarks, and a body hard and lean and bruised all over, black and yellow. I could see she's taken a beating. I could see who she was, too. A spook, on the run. Revershal's the cloaca of capital now. All the bagmen and arms dealers end up here to do drugs and have sex like animals.
You could tell she was a spook from the documents?
She had different color hair on the photo, and glasses. Forged. Some sordid bourgeois affair. I've heard about this kind of thing on the radio.
He's setting it up for you. The bruises, you can't make that out in a scope.
You can't see bruises through a scope. It's just a blur.
It quickly comes to you.
Oh, yes. Cutting those drugs of hers into little lines with a knife. Masturbating.
Did you make that hole?
With a clip point knife.
Good for listening in, too. For hearing the moaning and the snorts.
Like that, too? Yes. Bending like a bow against the glass. I've been through all of Martinez. Every nook and cranny. Yes, that too. The things they did in that little room. What she'd do to feel good. Funny the way light works. You turn it on inside, and it gets so dark out, you can't see a man looking in. I learned that in the 20s, when they were still hunting me. I've seen people do some shit, but...
Those two took the cake. You hear the familiar scribble of the lieutenant's pen. A quick glance at you. One more loose end down. We're doing this, detective.
How did you get in there? The hidden pinball workshop.
I can just walk in there now after a good wash. I told you, they think I'm an antisocial. Closing hour is a good time. The kitchen's empty.
You had to open the steel door in the kitchen? How?
I got that open a long time ago. Some bourgeois game merchant lived there. I don't know, 15 years ago. He left spare keys all over, and I took one. Then I saw her turn the light on one night in my scope.
Andy found use for it. A spare key, like the one hanging behind the Union Box window.
There's nothing to hold on to. Only this. It's not enough.
The coals of his eyes glisten suddenly, like stones dripping with water. Is he crying?
Man needs to feel something else. In this fight, it helps if you have your eye on something there. It's weakness, I know. No. I don't really know. I was there one night and she was crying, like a child, in the corner of her room on the floor, like she does sometimes. The day after I killed him. Yes, I don't know why I do the things I do anymore. Maybe. I told you, I have holes in my brain now. I wouldn't just sit here waiting for you.
A sudden pang of rage.
If you came 10 years ago, I would have killed you.
In the silence, the lieutenant draws a line in his notes, then nods at you once more. One more down.
Heard.
The lieutenant nods at you in acknowledgement. That's it. Motive. We have it.
Where is she, that Clasier? I haven't seen her there for days. Gone. I knew it. She kept staring into the scope this last week at the island, like she knew. She'd look at night, crying or smoking on the roof, staring right into me. It doesn't matter.
He knew she knows. She was looking at the island, figuring it out, day by day, cigarette by cigarette.
We could get more. We've got him talking.
Who knows what he's seen and done over the years? You could get more out of him. He likes talking.
A tragic comedy. Druggies, prostitutes, and rentiers.
A strange little engine seems to fire up in him again. It straightens his back. The familiar put, put, put of hatred.
Specifically, the whole city is a charnel house, stripped clean and draped in neon. But Martinez is the worst. Because of the racists, everyone is a racist in Martinez. It's their favorite thing to do in the whole world, listening to race-themed radio shows, in the ruins, in their lorries, pumped full of steroids and Radio Revachol 92. Race this, race that. It's all sanctioned by that social democratic union and the farce of a social democrat who runs it. Yes, the fly larva in his container. He let some nihilistic advertising yuppies erect a statue of Philippe III, a syphilitic murderer, on the town square, to spit on the working class. Not since the serfs of ancient Pericarnassus has history produced a more inert social class than the Martinez proletariat. The rest of Revachol at least pretends to rebuild. These people still live in ruins. Intense, like animals, like those boom-boom morons on the ice. A pity they didn't drown in that tent of theirs. The worst of them is the blood-drenched Sucrion on her yacht, licking her lips. The old whore's gone now. Her gun-toting porcelain men are dead. So, actually, no. The worst is that old cop parading around in his uniform, throwing balls all day. It's not enough that the racists and liberals are dancing on our graves. The old loyalist ghouls still parade the ruins too. Every morning he's there, while the parasites he fought to protect are off in Ozon, or Quayamoran, or some other island they built their palaces on, feeding on drugs and having sex with their own children. That's all the rich really want, sex with their own children. Throughout history, even the royal bloodline of the suzerain, it's all just an excuse for them to have sordid sex. At least that old cunt Frisell is now dead. We did good when we pushed him under that horse car. If only, in the 30s, those disco whores.
The disco whores are too much. Hatred shuts down his brain's language center, leaving only a nonsensical sputter. There was something about a statue and nihilistic advertising agency people might be worth investigating.
Syphilis is a disease Philip III contracted in a whorehouse. The statue is an abomination. The bacteria entered his brain and made him squander trillions on sparkling wine, cocainum, and monuments of himself. His son, Philip IV, the insane, contracted syphilis in the womb.
That is technically possible, although Philippe III was not actually syphilitic. He was just mad.
And he still went on to govern Revachol for 25 years. We lost 2 million lives toppling that mode of government. And those grotesque statues, too. Hundreds of them. What a keen remark. Yes, it is, isn't it? It's still there. Do you know why? Forgot. The party had each of the 141 Philippian monuments detonated with plastic explosives. We were pedantic about carrying out the order. No. Some advertising cockroaches used their accumulated capital to erect a new, ironic version of it. Art is a bourgeois establishment. It's an affront to humanity. Another hideous disappointment. Unions are the real enemy. The true enemy of the proletariat. Placating the masses.
Disappointment, so personal. He displays a familiarity with the union's top brass.
That deformed toad? I wouldn't expect him to wipe his own ass. I mean, the brains of the operation. The smart one.
Edgar.
He talks a big game about uprising and social base. They must have sent the smart one to some university in Le Jardin, where it's alienation this and hegemony that.
He's been sweet-talked by this Edgar. They must have met in person for such animosity to have developed.
You can't live alone.
The Clares wouldn't miss a man hidden in their own backyard. Not all this time. Nothing happens in Martinez without them knowing.
Of course. Maybe the Clears asked him to. Don't go straight for the kill. Exhaust everything else first. Soften him up.
I haven't approached anyone. I hid. It was Edgar who came to me.
How did he know you were here?
He didn't just stumble in like an oaf. He figured it out. Some kids told him about a monster on the island. I told you, he has brains. Stepped right off the boat and walked down where you came. I even kept the door open for him. Thought he was a man of the left, wouldn't rat me out. I was right about one of those things. 20 years ago, neither of them could walk now, could they? They were less fat then.
That's around the time the Clears came to power.
Edgar did the talking. Paid his respects like I were a fossil in a uniform. Offered platitudes about the struggle. Flaunted his pink degree. Even quoted Marzoff. Never trust a social democrat who quotes Marzoff. Oh, and charity, too. They love their charity. Offered me blankets and social housing. I still have the gas cooker he brought. Let me be here. The ZOC is an unlawful successor of the Commune of Revachol. We took this fortification from the Loyalists. Even the Clares understand this.
They let him be here. Understanding was a courtesy. But why such a courtesy?
You know why I killed that fucker, Dwat. As to Edgar, I'm not doing anything for that swine again.
Again? What have you done for Edgar before?
Tried teaching him some Marzovian socioeconomics. They didn't stick. We parted ways.
Okay, he didn't do the hanged man for them, but he's insinuating something. There is more here. You can feel it. He was not outright lying, but almost.
Horse. Every fucking morning for 34 years, throwing that ball. One ball against the other. I've always loathed that game. That is not a working class game. I don't care what they say on Radio June. Royalist ghouls played like it was life itself. Click, clack across the water each day. And that uniform, like a parrot plumage. I won't even mention that he's a traitor to his race. A petanque maniac race traitor. I remember him. I remember him from La Noce. Not him personally, his make and model. There were tens of thousands of them. I thought we took them all out before the liberals came to their rescue. We missed one. That one.
There doesn't seem to be a single person under the pine today. Not even Gaston. Alone.
Fat and plump. Like a pheasant. Just begging to be popped off. Please, Mr. Dross. Shoot me.
He whispers with such predatory hunger. It borders on longing.
Not yet. I like to look at him strut around, place the crosshair on his medals, right on his face, and just fiddle the trigger. Think about it. Let the bomb melt in my mouth.
Save the treat for later?
He is a juicy bonbon, that one. A real treat for the black day. The blackest. When I put that gun in my own mouth, I think, no, don't waste it. Put this lead in that cock, René. For the boys he killed. And then I look at him throw those balls, and I suddenly feel better. I even hid one bullet, so I'd always have one for him. Haven't seen him around lately, strutting around. Must be down with arthritis. I hope it hurts like hell. I hope he sweats blood.
Hearing it may destabilize him. You sure you've gotten everything from him?
Huh. Yes, of course. I hope it hurts like hell. I hope he sweats blood. Must be torture. Not to be throwing his balls for a whole week.
He seems relieved. Could he have been worried for him? He reminds him of himself. The same hatred. The same. You try to think of another thing, but no. It's just the hatred. the connection doesn't come to you on such a pivotal moment. Dumbo, do something. You can't zone out now. This isn't Doodaloo dance time. By God, we are on the edge, in the very end, and you can't even remember what you're trying to connect, can you? While the murder suspect stares at you with contempt.
About this deal you made. With Edgar, the death of the criminal mercenary was only coincidentally beneficial to the Clares. But what about the other people you've killed for them?
Other people?
Like the previous 4 women of the Union.
That's it. That's what you weren't connecting yourself.
I didn't fight 40 years to end up an informant for the international regime. What happened, happened.
Still dumb, your eyes are transfixed on his digit. It's yellow with nicotine. Before, when you asked him about the Union, he said it was a disappointment. They promised him something political.
Look who's up. You're worse off than me.
We will have plenty of time to talk about this, Mr. Dross, when you're in pre-detention. It takes years in pre-detention.
Go ahead. I've been in solitary confinement my whole life.
Ease off it. This was not an unmitigated disaster. The lieutenant mitigated it. Just proceed, calmly.
Glad? It's all gone. I ain't going anywhere.
The old man stares despondently at the logs. What strikes you about this gaunt man is not the stomach pain, or the cough, or the malnutrition. For a man who's spent 44 years hidden in the urban wild. Indeed, he speaks fluidly. His movements are rapid, if erratic. His voice, despite the cough, is there. It is capable of expressing complicated ideas. Above all, he seems animated. It's a mystery. This animation comes at a cost too. Erratic hand gestures, thought processes cut off like threads as he just stares at the logs or the reeds. He also suffers mood swings, bubbling to the surface, unconstrained by his nervous system. Great leaps of emotion, from anger to grief, despair. You've seen demented people before. This feels similar, yet different. When his thoughts move, they are lucid, keen even, not senile. Perhaps, but his seems more than that. The inner turmoil takes unexpected turns, as if forced on him in a way. In summary, you sense some underlying neurological disorder.
No, I'm not okay. I shit blood, and I'm surrounded by insane people.
There it is again, erratic hand motions, bouts of rage, and the stomach thing too, of course. His lip curls into a sneer at the memory.
Yes, where is he? I hope he doesn't have debilitating arthritis. Or kidney stones. He can still come out to play with balls and get shot in the head, right?
Oh my God, he's even worried for him.
No. I waited too long. I waited too long and now he's dead.
I'm sorry, Mr. Dross. I understand you knew him for a long time.
They're all dead now. Fuck it.
If he really wanted to kill him so bad, he would have done. There must have been 1,000 black days on these islands. His health ailing.
And I blew them all. What does it matter now? He's gone. Ancient dust.
He reminded him of himself. The same hatred. The same. You try to think of something else, but no, it's just hatred.
All human beings care about each other. I cared for seeing his head explode. Now, God damn this world. You think I haven't seen people die? It's all I've seen them do. Fuck and die. All the other plans we had. To love. To colonize the Pale. It's all fucked.
He's not okay. This is just another black day in a row of black days. Something strange is keeping him together, making him endure.
Glad we talked about what? What? But you said I would be taken to the...
This terror is the sum of all the uncontrollable movements and mood swings he's been exhibiting.
Your wayfarer rights have been suspended. Information provided to the officers on the scene will be used against you by the prosecution. You will be given legal counsel within 1 week and must face court in 44 days. Do you understand? Do you understand?
But... No, I don't want to. I have to stay here.
He's sweating. Beads are forming on his forehead.
Your confirmation is not required, sir. Now on to the boat.
There it is again. To your north, as it has been since you came to the coast. The reeds whisper, stalks rubbing against each other. But then, in the middle of it, something completely different. It sounds like a bow, very slowly being drawn against the strings of a violin. A very small violin, made of reeds and rushes.
Maybe there is room for 3 on the boat. What?
What are you talking about? Is this... really us?
Your skin crawls. A delicate tangle of arms and legs unfolds from the reeds, limb by limb, to then just stand there, moving its scythe-like arms in ghostly silence. It's still there, an unfolding mechanism of reed-like chitin, hovering in place.
What are you talking about? There's nothing there.
The stick insect is over 3 meters tall. It looks straight at you with its tiny pinprick eyes and its grotesquely small head. You feel your legs shaking under you and your gun hand rise instinctively.
Tell me what you see, damn it. I can't make out one small thing in the reeds.
I can see it.
4 simple words, thank God. If you can see, then you're not insane. But that means it's really there, spinning slowly, in absolute silence, its limbs long and slender.
Be very, very careful.